Oh, Jazakumullah khairan. I just noticed now that my voice wasn't coming. Jazakumullah, thank you for notifying me. Okay, أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu once again. And I would also like to apologize for the technical glitch that occurred some moments ago. I was muted. I muted myself from here when I was to start the studio, but it did not occur to me that I'm already on mute. So I didn't unmute till I was just notified. Thank you so much. So what I was saying that is, as stated last time, we are going to start Sahih Bukhari from chapter 1 today, inshallah, from the very first chapter of Sahih Bukhari. But prior to that, there was a particular content I left specifically for the beginning of learning the commentary of Sahih Bukhari, and that is the principles. They are the principles to understand Sahih Bukhari, to be specific. There are these three contents I can specify after studying a series of contents based on the commentary. So the secret to understand Sahih Bukhari lies in the chapter title. The title Imam Bukhari gives to the chapter, the arrangement of the chapter and the arrangement of a hadith, then the content presented. So one after the other, we'll view some ideas behind this. So for the very first thing, I indicate that Imam Bukhari is always particular about the preference of the version of hadith which he is choosing. At times, the hadith he chooses will be contrary to the version other scholars of hadith chose in their own. But Imam Bukhari will always try to indicate the reason why he gave preference to this particular hadith, to this particular version, other than the other versions that others have presented, even though the content might be the same. But Imam Bukhari is always particular. I mean, always have a particular focus when he's choosing the content. The version he is going to give preference to. Secondly, is correction of a jurisprudential issue. At times, Imam Bukhari is going to present his hadith in a way that he wants to correct a particular idea that is already wrong, from some people who were seeing themselves as masters in jurisprudence in their time. That was the third century. So, for example, Imam Bukhari may have issue with someone like Ibn Abi Shayba or Abdrazak of the third century. So, in order to refute the allegations, or in order to refute the idea which they want to infuse into the concept of Islam during that period of time, Imam Bukhari will create his chapter or arrange his chapter in a way that those things will be corrected immediately. One reads the content one after the other. For example, Imam Bukhari can present a verse of the Holy Quran, then present a hadith that these particular people are quoting in order to create a different idea for people based on jurisprudence. So by bringing the verse of the Quran in the beginning, now bringing a hadith that goes against that verse of the Quran, that is to draw the attention of the reader that this particular hadith that these people are quoting goes against the verse of the Holy Quran. Therefore, if it goes against the verse of the Holy Quran, despite the authenticity based on the chain of narration, that hadith will not be given preference in the sight of Imam Bukhari. On the contrary, what will be given preference is the verse of the Holy Quran. The next thing is philosophy. During the time of Imam Bukhari, uh, the people who were raising those issues, who were creating different things in the Sharia of Islam, were actually basing their way on some certain philosophies which they already learned that time. Therefore, in order to correct those idea that goes against Islam but were being presented as arguments during that time, Imam Bukhari will then present a hadith, present a chapter title or arrange his hadith or the content of Sahih Bukhari in order to refute those new philosophical idea that goes against the concept of Islam. For example, Imam Bukhari have seen that people were having preference for certain school of thought. The people of Medina or the people of Hijaz were having issues between which school of thought they should give preference to, between the Maliki school of thought or the Shafi'i school of thought. Likewise, the people of Iraq and Basra were already having issues on the school of thought they are to give preference to, if it should be the fiqh of Hanafi or that of Hanbali. By that, each and every section of those people are creating discord between Muslims. For that reason, Imam Bukhari will now wrote Sahih Bukhari with the mindset that whoever reads it, the jurisprudential differences or the dialectical differences that exist within those school of thought will be removed based on the standard of the Holy Quran and based on the standard of the teachings of the Holy Prophet ﷺ as expounded in Sahih Bukhari. Another thing we need to look into is the choice of word Imam Bukhari used to have. Whenever Imam Bukhari uses some certain words, it brings a particular idea that he is solving through that particular word he has chosen. For example, let me give you the word inda. Sorry. Kindly pardon me because I always have issues typing between Arabic and Urdu. The alphabet gets mixed up in my fingers sometimes. So, if Imam Bukhari should use the word inda in the topic of a particular chapter, is trying to give an idea that this particular idea is specific for this particular situation or for this particular type of people. So whenever we are reading, we are studying Sahih Bukhari, and we see from the chapterization, the terminology inda has been used, then we will know that there is a specification for that particular content which Imam Bukhari is referring to. At times, we will have choice of words like hal, sorry, we have choice of words like hal from Imam Bukhari, man, ma, and the likes. Let me just leave them here. So whenever these particular words or these particular particles come in the chapterization of Sahih Bukhari, then there is a particular indication. For example, this hal, man, ma are istifham. So that indicates that there is a particular idea of questioning, inquiry. There's an inquiry being made in the content that Imam Bukhari is going to present, meaning there is a prominent idea that people are already making inquiry over. At times, Imam Bukhari will title his chapter with starting from a jumla to ismiya, a nominal sentence, or jumla to fi'liya, that's a verbal sentence. Even at times, it comes in masdariya, that is the infinitive case. But when they come, then we know each and every aspect of this gives a different content, a different idea from Imam Bukhari. I already mentioned that of hal is meant for istiftah, meaning there is an inquiry that needs to be solved, and people are already making inquiry over it again and again. Therefore, the hadith is based on that particular inquiry. Now, if it comes with man, then there is a different idea. When the hadith, I mean, the content or the chapter starts with man, it means a response. Man. The idea is likely to be a response to an inquiry being made. Therefore, by that, it means Imam Bukhari is about to give a particular evidence based on the inquiry or based on the istifta that is already established earlier. And if it comes in Jumlatu Ismiya, Jumlatu Fi'liya, or Masdariya, then you will understand that Imam Bukhari is trying to make a particular decision. Nominal sentence, nominal, verbal sentence. If it comes either in nominal or verbal sentence, then you understand that Imam Bukhari is trying to make a decree. Unless there is another khobar that comes therein. So we have a different idea. Likewise, if you see the word either, it also comes to indicate a response from Imam Bukhari, meaning Imam Bukhari already studied the case and is now bringing a response to an inquiry that comes earlier on. So that is when you see Imam Bukhari making a choice of word like either while creating the chapter or in a book of hadith. And at times, either also comes for certain occasion. Instances when the decree is limited to a particular instance, then Imam Bukhari brings the terminology either, so that immediately you see that particular word, you know that what content that will be presented in that book of hadith will be related to a particular situation that Imam Bukhari wants to analyze for us. And when it comes in uh Masdariya, that is infinitive form, infinite in an infinite form, then you will see that Imam Bukhari at times becomes silent over the issue, meaning he's not going to take the decision over it. And at times, if it also comes in infinite form, it also comes in a way that Imam Bukhari wants to give a clear-cut decision. So either Imam Bukhari wants to be silent on a decision or he wants to give a clear-cut rule on that decision. An infinite form can come in the chapter that is being created by Imam Bukhari. So by that, he will express his view and present the evidence therein. Likewise, Imam Bukhari can bring a particular word that is based on Mosula, that is, by that, is trying to create a general case out of a specified situation. Or Imam Bukhari is trying to call attention to a particular incident or a particular decree or a particular idea. So a type of words like that will be used by Imam Bukhari. Another thing that we learn while studying Bukhari is that Imam Bukhari is going to bring a particular chapter Content different from chapter. The content Imam Bukhari will present in a particular hadith may actually be different from the chapter that is titled, because Imam Bukhari wants to give a double or a two-sided idea at that particular point in time. For example, the very first chapter of Sahih Bukhari that we'll be studying today is on how revelation started. كيف بدأ الوحي. How revelation started. That is the title of the chapter. But when you see the content that follows, you initially, when you already read the title, how the revelation started, you think Imam Bukhari will be bringing hadith that will tell us the beginning of revelation, the story of how it began and how it used to look like this and that. But on the contrary, when you see the content that Imam Bukhari will present, you will see it's Imam Bukhari will be talking about the quality of the person who is to receive the revelation and the quality of the revelation as well. So Imam Bukhari is taking a two-sided advantage by creating a particular chapter and bringing in a different content. As far as the chapter on, an analysis on how revelation itself started, Imam Bukhari later created a different chapter that is called Kaifa Nuzulul Wahi wa Awalu Ma Nazal. How revelation was revealed and what was the very first thing that was revealed. So Imam Bukhari will come up with something like that as well. At times, Imam Bukhari will bring a particular topic only to explain a particular version. Imam Bukhari used to do, was doing this as well. He brings out a topic all to explain a particular version of hadith. And that is because a particular chapter was earlier on discussed in the book, then a new version that is having issue in the mindset of others will not be presented in order to support, to get a supporting evidence from the previous hadith or the previous content that is already established. Then, when Imam Bukhari doesn't get a particular hadith that is authentic based on his own criteria, then he is going to use a particular topic, bringing it from the idea of other scholars of hadith as an evidence in order to support it. Then, whenever there is a doubt, Imam Bukhari will also present a particular version of hadith in order to clarify the doubt that is being, that is already attributed, or the doubts people are having in relation to that particular hadith. Just considering sharing the screen directly from here. Okay. Now, I'm getting to point number 13. In point number 13, Imam Bukhari is specifying this particular word, wow. When Imam Bukhari uses it, he uses it in order to connect two particular hadith or two particular content together so as to indicate that these two hadith are not contradictory to each other, but rather they have a particular mutual connection between them. And we go to point number 15. When Imam Bukhari presents a particular uh, arrangement in a particular chapter, meaning a hadith is brought forward or put backward. Each and every action of this has a particular set of wisdom behind them. Then, point number 16. During the arrangement and rearrangement of Sahih Bukhari within his hand, is trying to use each and every hadith that is presented at that moment in time to solve certain issues. So you always need to look into the arrangement of Imam Bukhari. Why did Imam Bukhari present this hadith first and not the one that follows? Why did he bring a particular hadith at at the tail end of the chapter, whereas he could have brought it, he could have presented it in the very beginning? So you pay attention to that as well. And when sometimes people will see a particular hadith, that's point number 17, people will see a particular hadith and think that they have no connection to the chapter. On the contrary, when you look deeply into the content, you will see an evidence from that particular hadith that is being established through the chapter. But at the same time, you also need to know the history of the situation in time, or the situation Imam Bukhari was trying to address. We may not, even at times, people in the current era, in the contemporary era, if they are not aware of what used to happen that time, may not know the wisdom behind presenting that particular hadith in that particular chapter. I've talked about the arrangement of the hadith, then the repetition of hadith. That's point number 19. When Imam Bukhari repeats a hadith in a new chapter, that's to indicate that this hadith that is repeated under this chapter also has a link to this chapter, as much as it's having a link to the previous chapter where it is used. Then you may also notice that when that hadith is repeated, the version may be different, meaning the chain of transmission may be different. In that case, there is another wisdom behind choosing a different chain of translation to what was initially used in the previous hadith. Now, still under the same idea of repetition of hadith, that's point number 21 here. When a hadith is repeated, sometimes it is all because Imam Bukhari wants to use the authenticity of that particular hadith to establish the authenticity of another version. Meaning, there are two versions. In the sight of Imam Bukhari, a particular version suits a particular content the most, but in the sight of people, that hadith may, they may have one allegation or the other as to the authenticity of that hadith. So Imam Bukhari will not bring another version that is more authentic, even though the content may not be so fulfilling as the previous one. So if the contents are mutual, are related, they go hand in hand, that indicates that the two hadith will be considered authentic, and the addition of a, a new hadith that is more authentic gives strength to the previous hadith, to the authenticity of the previous hadith. And at times it will be that Imam Bukhari also wants to bring a new idea or wants to create a new issue out of that particular hadith. And in another situation, you will see that a sanad, a chain of narration that Imam Bukhari is presenting, is munqati. Then Imam Bukhari will now bring another narration with a chain that is muttasil. By that, you have the two content supporting one another. You could remember, based on the content, munqati is one that does not link up to the Holy Prophet ﷺ, and muttasil is the one that linked up to the Holy Prophet ﷺ. So when Imam Bukhari brings a hadith that is muttasil in order to support a hadith that is munqati, that gives credence and more strength to the authenticity of the initial hadith that is considered munqati. And in other situations, the third point here is, in other situations, Imam Bukhari will realize that a particular version is short of certain content. Therefore, he will present a new content in order to add up to the strength, in order to add up what is missing in that particular hadith. Likewise, Imam Bukhari can present a particular version of hadith. That's point number 4. You present a particular version of hadith in order to expose the interpolation another narrator has done. Meaning, if Imam Bukhari presents a hadith that has interpolation in it, then he presents another hadith. Oh, mean, sorry. If there is a particular hadith known to have interpolation, then Imam Bukhari will not present a hadith that doesn't have interpolation in Sahih Bukhari in order to expose the other hadith that is having interpolation that people are spreading all around. So that is another wisdom we are able to gain from Imam Bukhari. Likewise, you will see Imam Bukhari presenting a hadith that has so many contents on the line beneath them. That is to indicate that each and every aspect of that content will require explanation or will require their own chapter at different points in time. So he will bring the hadith in a particular content here. Then when another focus is to be set on the content on another content of the same hadith, he will repeat the same hadith in another side, so that the hadith serves the purpose of this content this time around, it serves the purpose of another content the next time. Then if there is another content to be created out of that hadith, Imam Bukhari will create another chapter for it elsewhere in order to serve another purpose as well. And at times, you will see the content of a particular version to be different from the content that is presented in the whole chapter in general. When that occurs, then you should know that Imam Bukhari is not particular about the content anymore, but is particular about a particular wisdom that the new hadith bears, that is going to lend support to the previous hadith. The hadith that are presented in this particular bab, then a new hadith is presented that does not even relate to them, but the wisdom that lies with the previous hadith goes with this particular hadith as well. So Imam Bukhari will now bring that hadith so that its wisdom be a supporting hand to the previous hadith that are presented. Point number 24. Yes. When Imam Bukhari tries to derive some points of wisdom or some explanation from the grammatical rule or choice of word, or is saying so person says this, so person say that, then you should know that Imam Bukhari is trying to create an idea for you to focus on based on the hadith that he is presenting. In another situation, you will see that Imam Bukhari, that's point number 25, will just present a verse of the Holy Quran or reference to a hadith without presenting any hadith that with any sanad at that point in time. That is to indicate that the content that is presented here is directly connected to the previous bab, that is the previous chapter. In another situation, Imam Bukhari will try to indicate some spiritual verities. Therefore, in between a chapter, he will create another chapter so that you are able to derive a spiritual verity that he wants to indicate for you at that point in time. Meaning the chapter itself is not about that spiritual verity, but Imam Bukhari noticed that there is a spiritual verity that can be derived within the ahadith that are presented in this chapter. So in between them, Imam Bukhari will now create another chapter to direct your attention to that particular spiritual verity. So that is just some few things to mention. Maybe some things I have mentioned, you might not understand them right now. I mean, some people who are not used to the study of hadith may not understand them right now, but when we get into the content, just try to put them in mind. When we get into the content, then we'll be seeing them one after the other. Now, this is the very first book in Sahih Bukhari, Kitabu Bada'ul Wahy. Kitabu Bada'il Wahy. That is the book of how of the beginning of revelation. قال الشيخ الإمام الحافظ أبو عبد الله محمد بن الإسماعيل بن ابن إبراهيم ibn al-Mughira al-Bukhari rahimahullah ta'ala, that is Imam Bukhari says, chapter 1, كيف كان بدأ الوحي إلى رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. How was how did revelation start to the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? How did the Holy Prophet started receiving revelation? Now, as I was saying previously, I told you that Imam Bukhari, whenever is to establish a particular chapter, many a time he brings a particular verse of the Holy Quran to express what his intent is based on the chapter he is creating. So from this, Imam Bukhari presented the verse وَقَالُ اللَّهِ جَلَّ ذِكْرُهُ إِنَّا أَوْحَيْنَا إِلَيْكَ كَمَا أَوْحَيْنَا إِلَى نُوحٍ وَالنَّبِيِّينَ مِن بَعْدِهِ. Certainly, we have revealed to you, just like we revealed to Nuh alayhi salatu wasalam and the prophets prior to, and the prophets after him. Now, let's get into the tashrih, into the commentary. Hadrat Maulana Zainul Abidin rahmatullahi alayhi radiyallahu ta'ala who explained that Imam Bukhari كيف بدأ الوحي के मुतालिक जो आयत लाई है इससे उनकी मुराद ये है कि जिस वाही के मुतालिक वो हदीसें लाएंगे वो वाही नबुवत है न कोई और. That is, by Imam Bukhari presenting this verse of the Holy Quran in the beginning of the chapter that he wants to talk about how revelation started or about the content of revelation. The reason why he presented this verse of the Holy Quran is to indicate that the revelation he is referring to is of this standard, that is the prophetic revelation. क्योंकि कुरान मजीद से और निज अहादीस से भी मालूम होता है कि वही की कई किस्में हैं, because it is established from the Holy Quran and the ahadith that there are different types of revelation. According to the Holy Quran and Hadith, there are different types of revelation. Therefore, Imam Bukhari presented this verse to indicate that the revelation he is referring to based on this chapter is revelation, is prophetic revelation, not any other type of revelation. Now, what are the types of revelation that are known? Ekwahi Jamadat, there is a revelation for things. Masalan, Zemin Keliye, for example, there is a revelation for the earth. It is stated in Surah Zilzal. بِأَنَّ رَبَّكَ أَوْحَى لَهَا, that your Lord revealed to the earth. Likewise, you see revelation to the sky as well. He quoted Surah Hamim Sajda, verse 13. All these are to indicate that there is a particular order from Allah the Almighty that are meant for the material things like earth, like the heaven. Allah the Almighty already said that وَالشَّمْسَ وَالْقَمَرَ وَالنُّجُومَ مُسَخَّرَاتٍ بِأَمْرِهِ, that is the sun, the moon, وَالشَّمْسَ وَالْقَمَرَ, the sun, the moon, وَالنُّجُوم, and the stars are pressed into service by a particular command from God Almighty, which means a command comes to them from Allah the Almighty and they are placed to service. Allah the Almighty established this in the verse of the Holy Quran, which was added here in Surah Zilzal, بِأَنَّ رَبَّكَ أَوْحَى لَهَا, that is, your Lord revealed to the earth as well. Likewise, there are other indications in the Holy Quran where Allah the Almighty used the terminology wahyu for other things. So the verse of Hamim Sajda, verse 13, was also indicated for the heavens. So that's a type of revelation. एक वही हयावानात जैसे शेर की मक्खी को होती है. There is another revelation that goes to animals or insects. For example, the revelation that God Almighty mentioned in relation to honeybee. That's Surah Nahl, verse 69. 69. وَأَوْحَى رَبُّكَ إِلَى النَّحْلِ أَنِ اتَّخِذِي مِنَ الْجِبَالِ بُيُوتًا وَمِنَ الشَّجَرِ وَمِمَّا يَعْرِشُونَ. Your Lord revealed to the honeybee. So the honeybee is also regarded as a recipient of revelation according to the Holy Quran. Ek wahi solihin ko hoti hai. Then there is a revelation that goes to the righteous, to the pious one. Jesse hawariyun ko hoi. Just like there was a revelation to the disciples of Jesus, as stated in Surah Ma'idah, verse 112. So Allah the Almighty stated that uh, we revealed to the disciples and Aminu wa bi Rasuli, that do believe in me and my prophet. So a specific revelation is mentioned over there for those pious people. Likewise, Hadrat Musa Kima, the mother of Hadrat Musa, also received revelation. That is mentioned in Surah Al-Qasas, verse 8. وأوحينا إلى أم موسى أن أرضعيه فإذا خفت عليه فألقيه في اليم ولا تخافي ولا تحزني إنا رادوه إليك وجعلوه من المرسلين. So that is a particular revelation Allah the Almighty testified to, that the mother of Musa also received revelation. But these are different types of revelation. But Imam Bukhari presented this particular verse of the Holy Quran just to make some indications in the Holy Quran. I mean, the Holy Quran uses it to just for certain indications from the divine. Therefore, when we are to read this particular chapter, we should bear it in mind, according to Imam Bukhari, that the topic, I mean, the content we'll be talking about will be revelation that is prophetic and not any other type of revelation. Now, the very first hadith presented: حدثنا الحميدي عبد الله بن الزبير قال حدثنا سفيان قال حدثنا يحيى بن سعيد الأنصاري قال أخبرني محمد بن إبراهيم التيمي أنه سمع القمة بن وقاص الليثي يقول سمعت عمر بن الخطاب رضي الله عنه على المنبر قال سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول إنما الأعمال بالنيات وإنما لكل امرئ ما نوى فمن كانت إجرته إلى دنيا يصيبها أو إلى امرأة ينكحها فإجرته إلى ما هاجر إليه. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Can you hear me, please?
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Yes, it's back.
It's indicated for about 40 minutes.
No. It just for a minute or two, it went off. But it's
Jazakumullah.
back.
All right. That will be some internet issue. So the hadith stated that is narrated from by Hadrat Umar bin Khattab radiallahu ta'ala anhu. The Holy Prophet ﷺ said, Innamal a'malu biniyati, verily actions are judged according to intention. Wa innama likulli imri'in ma nawa, and everyone is rewarded in accordance with his determination. Faman kanat hijratuhu ila dunya, so whoever has his own migration in relation to the world, you see buha, he will end it. Aw ilamra'atin, or his struggle, his target is towards a woman, yankihuha, he gets to marry her. فهجرته إلى ما هاجر إليه. Therefore, his main goal will be achieved based on what he exerts its effort or it travels over. Now, the explanation as given by Hadrat Maulana Zainul Abidin Waliullah Shah Sahib, he said, Al Amalu biniyati, Al Amalu biniyati ki hadith bi Jawamil Kalim may say here. That is, among the statements that is all encompassing is this particular statement from the Holy Prophet Sallam, Innamal Amalu biniyat. Verily, actions are judged according to intention. इसी वजह से बाज़ उलमा ने उसको एक तिहाई इस्लाम करार दिया है. That is why some scholars have considered this particular content to be one third of Islam. और बाज़ ने एक तिहाई इल्म का, and others consider it to be one third of knowledge. और इमाम बुखारी रहमतुल्लाह अलैहि फरमाते हैं, Imam Bukhari rahmatullahi alayhi stated that okay, इस हदीस से बढ़कर pur hikmat, pur maani, और कोई hadith nahi. There is no hadith that is filled with wisdom and understanding greater than this particular hadith. So from the fatwa of Imam Bukhari, there is no hadith that is greater in its content and meaning than the hadith of innamal a'malu biniyat. बल्कि सच तो ये है कि दिन की सारी माहियत इस एक जुमला में कोट कर डाल दी गई है. Rather, the entire content of religion is already filled up within this particular sentence. और ये जुमला दर हकीकत बतूल इस असल उसूल के है कि जिससे इंसान को हयावान से इम्तियाज हासिल होता है. And this particular statement itself lays down the principle that differentiates man from animal. The distinction between man and animal lies in this particular declaration of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, "Innamal a'malu biniyat." Verily, actions are judged according to intention. और जिसकी बिना पर इंसान के तबे अफ़आल दायरा अखलाक में दाखिल होकर इंसान को जिम्मेवार और अमल की जवाबदेह हस्ती बना देते हैं. And it is based on this particular principle that man naturally becomes responsible for his action based on the wisdom for which he acts or based on his normal moral rectitude. He becomes responsible all because of this particular statement, all because of the content that lies within this very brief statement. Innamal a'malu biniyat. और शरीयत की तमाम पाबंदियां इस पर आयद हो जाती है. All regulations of Sharia also lies inside this simple statement. Innamal a'malu biniyat. Verily, actions are judged according to intention. इसलिए इस हदीस की थोड़ी सी वजाहत करने असबाब जरूरी मालूम होती है. That is why it will be necessary to at least expatiate this particular hadith a bit ताकि उसका ताल्लुक इस बाब से और नेज इस किताब के मजमून से पूरे तौर पर वाज़ी हो जाए, so that it becomes clear the connection this particular hadith has with the particular chapter. Do remember that some moment ago I was just indicating the principle to understand Sahih Bukhari. Now, if you look at the content or at the chapter, the title of this chapter, how does revelation start? How did revelation start? Or how did the Holy Prophet ﷺ started receiving revelation? That's the content. That's the title. But the hadith you've come across is verily actions are judged according to intention, and everybody is rewarded in accordance with determination, and so on. Apparently, there is nothing that indicates anything related to revelation in this particular hadith. So, why did Imam Bukhari put it here? What is the idea? What is the wisdom behind it? That is what we are about to learn. Now, number one, उलमा इस्लाम ने फेल और अमल के दरमियान ये फ़र्क बतलाया है कि फेल तभी हरकत को कहते हैं. As far as the scholars of Islam, they mention the difference between fail and amal. Now, let me analyze these two a bit for those who may not understand Arabic. These two words are synonymous, and you can consider them like saying action and deeds. So, the scholars of Islam are trying to differentiate between action and deeds, fail and amal. So, they now indicate that fail tobi harakat ko kehte hain, that fail is regarded as the natural movement or the natural step. I don't want to use action. The natural movement of anything is known as fail. Jismi niyat ka dakhil nehi, wherein there is no idea of intention. Intention doesn't come into it. Or amal wo fail hai, jismi niyat ka dakhil hu. And amal is regarded as the deed that comes with intention. Jo bil irada qasdan kiya jaye, that it is regarded as something that is intentionally acted upon, or something that was done willingly. An action that takes place at will is regarded as amal. जिसके करने पर इंसान का तभी फेल अच्छा या बुरा कहलाता है. That is the outcome of it. I mean, by performing that particular deed, then the action of man or that deed cannot be determined if it is good or bad, because intention comes in it. और इसलिए वो इनाम सजा का मुस्तहिक होता है, and because of it, it will now be worthy of reward or punishment. Meaning, immediately man becomes conscious of an action and he performs the action with his intention. He consciously performs an action, then he will be responsible. I mean, he will be worthy of a reward or a punishment for the outcome of that particular deed. इस तारीफ को मद्देनजर रखकर इन्नमल अमल बिनियत का ये मफहूम होगा. If we now put this definition into perspective, then the meaning of innamal amal biniyat will be that तभी अफ़आल को अमली या अखलाकी हैसियत नियतों की वजह से हासिल होती है. The natural movements or the natural action of man will be regarded under the point of morality based on the idea that the niyat, the intention, already steps into it. If there is intention, there is consciousness in that particular action, then the person will be termed, I mean, the action or the deed will be placed on a level of judgment that can be termed moral. Either that particular deed is morally okay or immoral. So, innamal a'malu biniyat indicates this, meaning before we can say an action is all right, before we can judge the value of an action, then the intention comes into it. इन मानों के एतबार से बेनियत में बा sababiya hai. Therefore, when we have that particular consideration, then the ba that comes with biniyat becomes sababiya. That is a ba of purpose. There is, sorry, a ba of cause. There is a cause to the end point of the action. So we normally say that there is the judgment of cause and effect. So by the statement innamal amalu biniyat, it indicates that the amal is the effect, and there must be a cause for that particular thing you call the amal, and that is a niyat. When there is a niyat, there is an intention, then a deed follows. And when the deed it becomes apparent, the deed will now be judged based on the intention that create that particular deed. Number two, दूसरा मफहूम इस हदीस का ये है कि अमल नियतों ही के साथ अंजाम पाते हैं. The other understanding we can get from this particular statement is the outcome of an action lies on the intention prior to it. काम करने के लिए नियत की जरूरत है. An intention is needed for an action to take place, for a work to be done. महज ख्याल या आरजू या मिलानी तभी या रिगबत यानी दिल की पसंदीदगी या चाहत किसी काम को सर अंजाम देने के लिए हरगिज काफी नहीं. Just an idea, a wish, a natural inclination, or a desire will not bring the fruits of any action. That you only have it in your mind, oh, this will be done, this can be done, this and that, there will be no result to that. But niyat jiska makud nawat hai. Niyat, that it is the root of it is nawat. Amal ke liye gutli ya बीच का वो दरमियानी गोदा है. It is regarded as a seed that brings about an action, meaning a seed that will be planted that will now grow to become an action. जिसमें जिंदगी की सारी कुव्वतें जमा होती हैं. Therein lies all power of life. In the intention lies all power of life. All power of life in the nascent stage that is now to grow up and become the outcome. और जिससे complete होती है और अमल का दरख्त फलता फूलता और फैलता है. That is, it is therein, from that particular seed, which is the intention, the seed, the plant of action grows, and from it grows, it gets its stem sprout out up to the point of bringing out fruits. Everything is already confined inside the intention. The end result of each and everything that we see today has a particular mindset that produce it initially. Before the action takes place, there is a particular mindset towards it. Then, when the action takes place in accordance with that mindset, then we say we have a particular effect. So the result comes out. Point number 3. लफ्ज इन्नमा जो हस्र के लिए आता है इसका मफहूम उर्दू में ही के लफ्ज से हम अदा करते हैं. So it's just indicating that the word innama, as far as they use it in Urdu, is just to make an emphasis. So in Arabic, it is also emphasis. Innama, verily. Something you could say verily in English, definitely. इस लफ्ज को मद्देनजर रखते हुए इन्नमल अमल बिनियत के तीसरे माने ये होंगे. Now, when we pay attention to this particular emphasis, then we are going to derive a meaning that insan amal ke piche zurur hai. That is, man will always be behind an action. Sorry, man will always rely on the action that is going to take place. But before that action takes place, there is something that must occur. Ke niyatin darpada kam karahi ho. That is, there is intention that is hidden within that particular mind, in the mind of man, that is going to exhibit itself for the action to take place. Yani ye हो नहीं सकता कि इंसान काम तो कर रहा हो मगर उसके पीछे कोई नियत न हो. That is, it is not possible that man is performing a meaningful action, yet there is no intention behind it. अगर कोई नियत नहीं, if there is no intention behind it, or let me use niyat, because niyat in this particular context goes beyond just the general idea we have in intention on intention, but it comes with the consciousness and the will and the zeal. Everything is combined in the word niyat. So agar koi niyat nahi hai, if there is no niyat behind it, to wo fail mehes ek tobi harakat hogi, then the action will just be a natural action, a natural outcome of someone moving or of an action taking place, something we can term as just intuition, just like a madman doing a particular thing. जिसको कोई अमली हैसियत हासिल नहीं हो सकती. Therefore, at that point in time, such an action will not be valued under the idea of a known deal, a known deed that can be judged or that can be evaluated. So I believe we already get to the end of time, and uh, probably there is anything anyone would like to add or any question. We are not able to complete the content of the first hadith today. We still have two other contents in relation to it, but not to go beyond the stipulated time. I'm stopping here for now. If anyone has anything to add or any idea to present, we can present it. Otherwise, we'll close the stream in the next 30 seconds. All right. In the absence of no comments, inshallah, we'll meet on Monday to continue with the content of the very first chapter of Sahih Bukhari. Till that time, I pray Allah the Almighty keep each and every one of us safe. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi